Welcome back, gamers. I'm Draxxinusam, and we are here playing Dwarf Fortress again. As we left off last tutorial episode, we just finished trading with the traders here. And as you can see, we have a miasma problem right off the bat. So remember, that command is from the main menu. It's just T, and then you find which... you hunt down which places you think are having the problem, and that will be here. So we will dump it, because we don't want crap smelling, because it makes dwarves sad. Alright, let's go through, dump some of this crap. Alright, so I'm going to try and start putting together... Oh man, we are nowhere near ready for that. Beds. We have a huge order of beds, but not many beds to use. So as you can see, this little @ symbol, this guy right here, is sort of chasing around our manager. He's basically going to try and set up some trading things. So hopefully my manager will stop long enough so they can have a meeting, because I can definitely talk about that. So on the last episode, I sort of talked about trying to set up an indoor well, and we're going to go ahead and try and start doing that this time. So basically, my design of the well is basically a method of tapping into the second level of whatever stream or item you happen to have. So here is our stream. So the idea is basically... one second. The idea is basically to get a pond going on a level that you want it. So, like, for an example, it would be on this level somewhere, because we also want a hospital. And the thing that's important about the water is if it's not been purified, so basically if, like, they're just going out here to get buckets from this thing, it's technically considered, like, dirty water. Like, not bad for drinking, but if it's, like... if you're using it to clean wounds, it can cause infections. And the way to fix that is to actually pump the water through a screw pump. And I'm not sure that I've actually ever gotten it to work, but I've tried plenty, so I'm probably going to try again and fail again, because I'm not really going to do anything different. So, let me clear out all this dead crap. So, okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, just gotta sort of plan it out a little bit here. So if I come down, that'll put me on that side. See, I usually want the well to be close to the hospital, to be close to the stairs down, because basically, like, it's like an emergency situation and dwarves' lives are on the line. So I kind of want those to move quickly. But the problem is, there's stagnant pools that are in the way, and unless I do a lot of, like, sort of design work, actually, well, I could sort of cut across here, because I don't know that I'll use that level that much. Okay, I know what I want to do. So this is basically just an access point for the dwarves. Here. So I'm actually going to do that ahead of time. Nope, nope, nope. So right here is where I can start. Okay. And this will basically be the channel for the water. So, I know it's kind of dangerous when you first do it. It's definitely something to pay attention to. But you don't want to connect it right off the bat, otherwise you start flooding and then you're dead. So that sucks. But we'll put in safety measures to make sure that the water just doesn't come gushing in and flood everything, which is definitely a problem and you don't want. So here, I mean, there's options to manage sort of water flow with floodgates. where you can like send it to places, and there's definitely lots of advanced design techniques where you can basically turn this into a sort of moat. Except, so for example, this is my access point. So there's I've done some designs where I basically use this water to create a giant pool that's not necessarily connected to us, the actual water source, because they actually use it for drinking. So I basically channel it into two different directions, and then I have a purifier at the bottom for the water, just in case anything gross happens to come through. But then we channel it into a giant moat for this place. It would be maybe about that big. And then we would create a bridge, so if a siege came through this way, we could cut it off, and they would basically be stuck. And I mean, there's still something I can do like that. It'll be messy and ugly, but it's still something I can do. And we'll decide if we want to do that later. So we will get that started. So then next, I am going to want to channel down. We will be here. I want to channel down again. So this basically channels down here, which channels down here. The reason that I do a channel that I don't just channel all the way down is because that'll create a really steep sort of point, and that can kill dwarves that are mining it, and that's bad. I don't want dwarves to die. Let's see here. I'll channel down. So okay, this is the level where we want the water to be, and this is what the level where the med bay is going to be. So we want, if we're going to have a purifier, so you need at least this level to be where the water is being pooled at, but we're going to actually have to go one deeper for the purifying mechanism. Okay, I always mess it up on the first go. So this is just to transport. This is where we want it. This is the pool that we need. This is where the... Let me think. I always have to think of how the pump goes, because the pump pulls from the level below and pushes to its level. So, okay. This is where I want them to pull the water. This is where it pools from. So we need to go one more. So that's where we need to be at. Right? I believe so. Water down, water down. Level we want. Reservoir. That's where the reservoir is. So this is where the water needs to be. That's where the water needs to stop. So, from there... Sorry, I'm trying to plan this all out in my head, and sometimes it gets crazy in there. Okay, so we're basically going to... I'm going to want the puddle to be on this side, and then we're going to have a... So I'm going to create a sort of path like that, and then the hospital will be on this side, so that'll sort of give us a sort of a guideline. So here, I'm going to want the reservoir to come out a little, wrap around, okay. We'll make that the cross section. So this is where the reservoir is, where the water is falling to. We actually don't need it that big. We only need something like maybe that big. Okay. So then, this is where... Okay, so... we will want... So this is where the pump will be. The pump needs a water wheel to power it. So the pump will be here. it'll pull, I think, it'll pull from this level. Oh man, I better check and make sure how these work. This is going to be kind of messy, but it's a really complicated process. So it'll pulls from the open space. I think I need it to be right here is where I need that water wheel to be, which means this water wheel needs to have water under it. So the channel will actually dig out that, so it'll create a space for the water wheel to be. And then, so the pump will be, this will be the second portion of the pump, this will be the first portion of the pump, and this will be the open space. So let's go ahead and, actually, so this will be pump space. More, and then we'll create the reservoir. So it will be like this, and that will be where the water flows into. Actually, before we do that, symmetrical, otherwise I'll go nuts. So from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll go ahead and describe all of this so you're not like, what the flip is this guy doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. About there. Oh, I messed it up. Actually, do I want that? How do I want that? I don't want it like that. So let's turn that to that. But I do want like a... everything from here over needs to be channeled out. 1. So there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to do some... I could... Do I want to make this fancy? Kinda. Actually... let's... Okay, so I'm not going to use this as anything. That's plenty. No, one more. We're gonna make this fancy. Okay, so let's do one there, one there, one there. Nope. Oh, what's off? 1, 1, 1, 1. It's because I have 2 there. Okay. So then we'll have an entrance here, and an entrance here, and then we'll dig all of that out. And probably some of that. It's a big room. Okay, so I'm going to pause it and describe this a little bit. Okay, so this is the channel where the water will actually come through. We will basically dig a 1 channel through, and it'll create some water pressure because basically as if water moves from a more open space to a tighter space, it will increase speed, and that's physics and junk for you. But anyways, so we'll create a door that's locked forever, sort of like a door mechanisms to keep this locked forever. This is basically just to access it so we can dig it out the first time. It'll come down. We'll dig out a space here, which will cause a ramp on both levels. So we move to the next one over and we do the same thing, and that will... So it's basically just a cascading effect. So this will become open and it'll be a ramp. This will become open and it'll be a ramp. This will become open and it'll be a ramp. So think of it as just like a diagonal path up. So here is where the water will actually arrive. So it'll, this is at the bottom level of where the water will appear. This is basically just to have access to what will be a pump here. So this will all be empty space. It'll be accessed by what will be a water wheel here and a pump here. So this is here, this area will be opened up when we dig out that water wheel. So the water will pass through it and it'll power the pump, and the pump will push water into the reservoir here. This will be an access port to the pump, so we'll put a door probably right there, and it'll be openable, but chances are we will never ever open it ever. And we'll create a sort of path over here. In fact, let me do that right now. Right there. Right there. Then we want an upward stairway, and then we want a downward stairway. There. So this will be an area to access the pump. We will create a door that's lockable there, either through lever, probably through lever, just to be safe. So the pump will pull from the level below, which is accessed by this sort of channel here. The pump is 2, so it'll be here and here, and then it'll start pumping into this reservoir, which will be dug out through the channels here. And then we'll build our wells. You're probably wondering why are these little like holes here. This is basically just to be fancy. They're going to be like little standalone islands in the little channeled out area, and there'll basically be statues on them just to make it look fancy. And so we will go ahead and let our dwarves do that. I'm trying to think if they'll need any specific access. No, all the ramps should get them everywhere they need to go. So, let me go through that one more time, just so we all are on the same page. Water will come through here. The channels, as you can see, they cascade sort of down and up. That's because when you channel, it creates a ramp to the same location underneath it. So this will ramp here. That'll ramp there, that'll ramp there, that'll ramp there. So those are all connected, so the dwarf can dig through those. This will create a ramp here, giving access to the level above, and the water will come, and this will basically be the primary pool. This is where actually, I just realized something. I have to cut that out. Cut out this sort of bit here, because when you channel here, it'll create the ramp, and that'll be the area to pull from. And we'll do a little bit of extra design when that's done, but we basically want the dwarves to have access. So I'm going to chop that out and let them ramp that. Oh! Oh, no, they'll have access. Okay, good. So they'll channel this out. This area from here over will be dwarf access. These 2 points here will be for the pump. This is for the axle that'll connect the pump to the water wheel, and this will be the water wheel. This is where the pump will start pushing water to, and it'll come into this area. So the reason we have it come down this way is gravity actually sort of helps purify water. It takes out like solid bits. Technically, I think it only works if it falls directly, and we might modify this a little bit later to have it a direct fall where it'll basically splat out all of the mud and crap that we don't want dwarves drinking. And then any sort of like impurities beyond that, like if you need to desalinate water or anything, that is actually done by the pump. You don't need any sort of special materials. It just needs to be pumped through the pump, and it'll clean it out, and then you have to make sure that the area that they're pumping it into isn't messed up at all. I've never actually seen other people's designs for indoor wells, but this is basically mine. There's probably easier ways or different ways feel free to experiment with your own. This is basically what I came up with as I was thinking about it. As you can see, the caravan's about to leave. Usually they leave pretty soon after they're done trading with you. But yeah, so that is that. I'll try and go through it as they dig it out. It should be a while because they're also digging out this area, which is sort of nice. I might actually look up while we're on the... I'm gonna look this up really quick, so don't go anywhere. So how's everyone? I haven't really gotten a chance to talk to you, but how are you doing? Are you enjoying the Dwarf Fortress sort of tutorials? Are they making sense? My feedback is sort of limited on this, so I don't know if these are actually very useful, but I hope they are. Tetrahedrites. Copper and silver. So that's not an incredible boon, those tetrahedrite sort of reserves, but it's nice to have them. I mean, even copper metal is still something, so... It's really nice sometimes, because I'm actually going to dig out this area as well. X. It's actually a really nice boon. I've had some that were basically just chock full of bituminous coal, which basically you put in 1 coal unit and it creates 9, so you basically get 8 free fuel for it, which is incredible. And then it basically just turns into a bonanza of fuel, and that's always nice because I don't necessarily like to use the lava. Maybe if I'm feeling adventurous or like, yeah, I'm the master of this game, that sort of thing, then I'll try and go for it. But I tend to not be too into the lava thing. And if you are, feel free. I mean, it's your Dwarf Fortress. You play it how you want. Just remember, losing is fun. So we are going to start putting beds and things into these, into this whole housing unit. So basically how it works is each of these little T intersections are a room. So basically what we have to do, I used to create doors for these, but I sort of gave up just because you can actually have vampires in the game, and they will prey on sleeping dwarves, which is crap. And if no one sees them due to dwarves, it's sort of hard to track them down. You basically have to... So here we go. So now they want to talk, so we get to choose the things we want to ship in and ship out and all that stuff. Oh, no, he kept walking. What a jerk. Stupid. What is he doing? Oh, he's conducting a meeting. Okay. It should come back to us here in a second. So basically, the design, the original design, they thought you could have a chest and a cabinet, which is definitely very useful. You'll find later that as your fortress progresses, they'll drop like broken clothing and stuff in their rooms, and they'll become really messy. And you can always build a cabinet, and then they'll put all of their belongings into that cabinet that they're not using, so it'll clean things up. But you can always add the chest. So it would basically be the beds are here, you'd put a chest, and then a cabinet. In either, not any particular order. So they'd basically have one room of space, there'd be a door here, there'd be a chest, a cabinet, and a bed. And the more stuff you add, the more valuable the room becomes, making the dwarves happier. So then I hit Q to view the beds, and I basically increase their size, so it basically covers that little area there. And we will do the same here. And we'll basically be doing that for all of these. So, and in the middle, basically, the design had statues there. You can definitely add statues. They're not necessarily needed, but it's sort of a nice little touch. In fact, let's order up some statues, because I have some things to... Rock statues, we'll go 10. They're sort of a nice way to get skill. They add value to rooms. People like them, that sort of thing. And we have more chairs now, so I am going to slap a few down in our ever unfinished meeting hall here.